Laura, I just unmuted you. Everybody else is now muted.
Okay. And I don't see any of the Board of Registrars.
Do you want to ping them? Like text them? Everybody is in the room right now. We have 43 participants.
Hi, this is Nancy Zimlak. I'm a member of I'm a Board of Registrar.
Okay, here you are.
Yeah.
All right, you're unmuted. I can hear you.
I know. I was just muted again, and
Yep.
then I took myself off.
Okay, so you're going to stay fine. We have you, Nancy.
Okay.
We're waiting for a couple other people. Sean Collins, Nancy Graham. Ah, here's Ray.
Tell me what. You don't need a password. Well, so when you went to the website, zoom.us,
Watching. Currently we have 3 members. See Donna and her husband waving. Hi. We have 3 people currently unmuted. That's includes Laura, Ray, and Nancy. And we're waiting for a couple more members to join.
Okay.
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 And just as a reminder for newcomers to the meeting, everybody is going to be muted during the meeting.
It wants your Apple password.
There we go. She's working on getting a couple of people in. We're going to ask everybody to also keep yourselves muted. And we ask that everybody listen carefully, and we will keep the meeting under control. We are now at 56 participants. Okay. Eileen is coming in. Laura, if you know if we have a number of people who have joined with just their phone numbers. So if you know a phone number, if you can send it to me in chat that you're looking for.
On now.
I'm sorry, say that again, Laura.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right, Laura. Do you have your other 2 members on? Do you know? Folks, we're up to 58 participants at this point, so just bear with us, please.
Okay, so Chris is logging in now, and I just got a message that Harry's trying to log in.
Okay. All right, here comes Chris.
Yes. All right, so Chris just joined.
Yep, and I'm just waiting for her sound to come on. She needs to connect to audio. Oh, I see Chris.
Okay, yep, you're in. Okay.
I don't see her sound, however. She's not connected to sound. Let's try this. No. Did she call in as well?
I don't know. She's on her iPad.
She had the phone to her. Are you talking to her?
I just hung up. But I
Okay.
can call her back.
Yeah, she doesn't have audio happening right now. I can see her video. Hi, Chris. I don't know if you can hear me. This is Jane. But I don't have her audio right now. It's not coming up as an option.
Hi. Yeah, say that again. Yeah, all right. So, did you turn up the volume on the iPad? Okay, so you have to, Jane, do you know how to turn on the audio on an iPad?
I can't turn it on. She has to turn it on.
Yeah, you have to.
If she calls in, I can merge her audio with her cell phone.
All right. So let's do it this way. Let me get the phone number for you to call in. Hold on. Call in with your cell phone, and then Jane will merge it.
Yeah,
You ready?
just text me her number in the chat.
Actually, I'm going to put your phone number. I'm going to give Jane your phone number, and she's going to call you.
Fantastic.
This
So
is Laura.
Laura's muted for 1 second. Hold on. You can ask her a question now.
No, no.
9805.
Who's speaking?
My name is Jane Wellman. I'm the business administrator.
9.
I work with Laura very closely, and I manage
Okay.
communications. So I'm going to be the background person for your meeting. But everybody else who's listening today, including RCTV and 70 people, will be on mute.
Okay. You know what? I'm listening right now. I think I can get in on the video. So keep going.
Okay,
I'm putting in the ID meeting right now.
Okay, yeah. If you join on video, I have to mute one or the other. But if you get in on the video and you get the audio, then just hang up your phone if you get both.
Yep.
We have a waiting room enabled for this meeting so that I can see everybody who comes in and give the permission first. Laura looks like she's ready. Harry's on, Laura.
Hi, Harry.
Yes. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Ray.
Hi, Laura.
All right.
Just trying to call in.
Yeah, I just had another person call in. 0185. Is that
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
All right,
No.
Chris- No?
Ken Cooper.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna mute you again, Mr. Cooper. There we go. All right, so looks like we're waiting for Chris to call in. Yeah, not here yet.
Hi,
All right.
Chris.
Hello. Yeah.
I hear you, Harry. You're all set.
Yeah.
Chris, are you there?
We appreciate everybody's patience today.
Has anybody else tried to get in with the phone?
No. Nope. We had one person, but it was Mr. Cooper. It was not Chris.
Should we go ahead and start?
We can. I'm gonna enable the recording, and then when she comes in, I'll unmute her. Okay. Oh, hold on a second. I have another
All
call.
right, let's try a different number here. So are you using your cell phone to call this number? Okay, so it's 1-646-558-8656. And then make sure you have the meeting ID and the password handy. All right, thanks.
Is Chris calling? A few other people joined a moment ago, and another person, Penny. Laura, do you know what the last 4 digits of her phone number will be when she calls?
7436.
All right. I'll keep an eye out for that. Okay. If you want, I can start the recording. And
Let's go ahead and get started.
okay, you are now recording. You can call your meeting to order, and I'll keep an eye on looking out for Chris. It's all yours.
Okay, hello, everyone. This is Laura Gem, the town clerk, as well as the chair of the Board of Registrars. I'll call this meeting to order at 2:29. And we have Harry,
Yep.
and we have Nancy,
Yes?
and we have Ray.
That's correct.
Okay. Has Chris been able to join us?
Not yet.
Okay. So the purpose of this meeting is there's a couple of things that we have to take care of and some housekeeping, but a purpose of originally posting this meeting is to make sure that the Board of Registrars are aware of what's been happening as far as the recall petition, to let you know the process, because I've gotten some questions from some of you as far as the process in certifying signatures with the petition forms. Just also to let you know about the objections that have been filed. There will be a couple of votes that we'll take today, but there will be no discussion about the signatures or the objections that have been filed. One of the things that we need to discuss first before we discuss that is whether or not there would be a public hearing.
Laura, I'm just going to interrupt you and let you know that Chris has joined the meeting. Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Now have your people. There you go.
Okay, so the first item is I sent you an email letting you know where we were, what was happening, and kind of gave you a little bit of an update with as far as the steps that has happened with the recall petition itself. Was there any questions on the steps that, as far as the dates and the timeline of, as far as the petition is concerned?
No. You're talking about the three memos sent in by Dennis Newman?
No, I'm talking about the timeline that was sent to you from the beginning as far as this whole process. So let me run over that real quick.
Yes.
Just so everybody's aware, there has been 3 objections filed, or I'm sorry, 2 objections with a second one being filed as a renewal of an objection. And Ray, please jump in if I say something incorrectly here.
Don't worry.
Okay.
So just to kind of go over the timeline, on February 20th, an affidavit was filed for a recall petition by John Arena. On February 21st, a recall petition was issued to one of the first 10 names of the affidavit. That was done so quickly because the charter requires that a petition is issued within 24 hours of receiving the affidavit. The recall petition was due to the Board of Registrars by March 12th at 12 p.m. because it had to exactly be within a certain specific time frame. On March 18th, 2,239 signatures were certified by the Board of Registrars, and I'll talk about what that means by certified by the Board of Registrars in just a moment. On March 19th, a certificate of the Board of Registrars was issued to the Select Board via the Town Manager's office. On April 1st, the certificate and petition was emailed to the Select Board. On April 1st, the Select Board voted to send notification to the elected official. And on April 2nd, a certified letter was sent to the elected official, Vanessa Alvarado. Any questions about that part so far?
So far, so good.
Okay. So in the meantime, there have been, again with the second renewal. The first objection was filed on March 11th, which was objecting to the affidavit, which we did not respond to. The second objection was filed on March 20th, which we responded with the letter. I believe I emailed that letter to all of you, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So then on when we sent that email to, I'm going to minimize my screen for just a moment here, but you still should be able to see me. But we sent the letter to responded back to the petition. Let me make sure I have the correct date. With the first letter on March 25th. In that letter, we specifically stated that the petitioner needed to reply back to us by March 27th at 5 p.m., which gave them 48 hours. They, however, did not respond back to us until April 6th. So one of the things that we need to do is, I'm actually skipping something here. Because we responded with a second letter, correct?
That's correct.
So,
Can you go over that again?
over which part?
Over the dates. I received one email.
You received one email with a letter that we responded on March 25th, that I responded to it, which gave them until March 27th at 5 p.m. to reply back to us.
And the reply was to give further detail.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, go on. Okay.
What was the question?
No, I don't have a question.
Okay. So we did not receive a response back by the deadline of March 27th at 5 p.m. We did, however, receive a response back on
April 6th?
No.
March 30th. The next Monday, on March 30th, we received a response. And that's when we sent the second letter, which you guys probably have not seen. I sent the second letter on March 31st. Okay, so can I share my screen so they can see this letter? Jane? Jane, can you hear me?
I don't think so.
Can you hear me, Jane?
I can hear you fine. You're good.
How do I share my screen?
So if you go at the bottom of your mouse over the bottom of the chat screen, and it says share screen.
Look at there.
Right there, and then you pick the screen you want to show. All right, is that working for you?
How's that?
It says it's coming up. There we go. Dennis Newman, there's your letter. Okay.
Excellent. Okay, so this is the letter that got sent out on March 31st, responding to the information that we received on March 30th. After this call.
That would be good
Okay.
because it's difficult to read right now.
Okay. So basically, it goes into the objections that was filed. Okay, so now if I don't want to share anymore.
Just go back and turn off sharing.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay. So at that point, there was a response from the council that we got received on April 6th, which is basically a renewal of the objection. And that's the information that made it into the select board packet. The renewal of the objection contained the names of signatures that is being contested. So what has to happen now is the board needs to take a vote as to whether or not they want to accept that objection with the fact that it was received after the 48 hours notice. The board at this point does not necessarily need to accept the objection, and I'm going to let Ray jump in and explain a little bit more about that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So here's the thing. We asked for what's sometimes referred to in the law as a bill of particulars from the office holder's lawyer, Dennis Newman, since the original objections merely stated categories of objections, and we suggested that if he wanted to object to particular signatures, he would need to do so by identifying the signatures. And we gave him an original deadline. He did not meet that deadline, but subsequently he indicated that he would be able to respond by April 6th. So I advised Laura that the Board of Registrars should consider that to be a request for permission to respond, for extra time to respond until April 6th. And that therefore the board needs to decide whether it is willing to give him that extra time. It would be my recommendation, since this is a pretty complicated process and since everybody is working remotely, it would be my recommendation that the board vote to accept his objections as timely, even though they were filed on April 6th.
Sounds reasonable.
Okay, so the motion would be, the vote that's up now is, will the Board of Registrars accept the objection as a timely objection by accepting it, receiving it on April 6th?
Harry says yes.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call your name out and ask you to put in your vote so that we do a roll call vote. Nancy?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Okay, so the objection is being accepted as a timely. Okay, so.
Can I just clarify? I'm sorry. I'm kind of new to all this. So that means that the objection was accepted and there's no objection to him submitting the detail to you on April 6th, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, so now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope.
Okay. So at this point, what'll happen is I will send you a copy of the objection, which you've already seen. It's in the selectmen's packet. I'm going to go through all of the names that have been listed as the objection, and I'm going to claims. Then I'm going to also let you know I've received a couple hundred emails about these objections. I'm going to identify those that have reached out to me, and then I'm going to send that information to you as the board and via email. And at that point, I believe, Ray, if I'm not correct, we have to set a date for a public hearing. Is that correct?
Well, first of all, you have to decide that you are in fact going to hold a public hearing. Okay, the charter does not actually require you to do so. That said, if you, it would be my recommendation that you do hold a hearing, give everybody the opportunity to present their evidence to you, and so that you can act on it. And the reason I think that this is the way to go is that if you hold a public hearing and one side or another is not happy with the results of your public hearing, and they go to court to challenge you, the court will simply look at whether you conducted a reasonable hearing and whether your conclusions have some support in the record before you. So it's sometimes called the arbitrary and capricious rule. If, on the other hand, you decline to hold a hearing, then someone who is unhappy with the ruling that you make without a hearing could go to court, and then we would have to have a full-blown trial at court with all the rules of evidence and people being subpoenaed as witnesses and what have you. And it will become much more cumbersome and much more difficult for the town. So it is my recommendation that you do hold a hearing, but there's nothing in the charter that actually requires you to do it.
So, just a quick question, Ray. If whether or not there's a public hearing held, there is nothing wrong with me providing the information to the registrars ahead of time, as far as looking up and making sure they are registered voters, et cetera, et cetera. Is that correct?
We will. I don't want you delivering that stuff to the other board members until a hearing has been scheduled, and then you set it out as part of the initial part of the hearing, more or less the board packet. In other words, I don't want you sending it out, in the next couple of days when a hearing hasn't even been scheduled. So essentially, the public will have the same information that you give to the board at the same time that the board receives it.
Okay.
So you're talking about information that is currently not in the public domain? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the research that Laura intends to do. So in other words, for example, there are a number of people who have been specifically challenged as not being registered voters. So it makes sense for Laura to go back through that list and double check that whether or not those people are indeed registered voters. She will generate a report. And what I'm saying is that report should be shared with the board members at the same time it is made public. We, the specifics of how we'll work that out. Laura and I can figure that out at the time, but I don't want there to be internal discussions among board members about a matter that is going to be the subject of a public hearing in the future.
Wow. Okay.
And you cannot, meeting date is set, is that correct? You cannot share the information.
I want it to be shared only as part of the public hearing preparation. That's correct. Okay. So it can be shared prior to the public hearing, but it will be part of a packet for that hearing that is made public posted on the website and made public at the time it is sent to you.
Okay. So
could I just, so could that be sent out even though a date hasn't been set? No?
No.
I would prefer no.
Okay.
So there was also a question among the audience here about how can people whose signatures have been questioned advise the Board of Registrars? So we'll talk about that once we determine whether or not we're going to have a hearing. And I'll get back to you in just a few minutes on that question. But so at this point, as far as what the board needs to decide is, do you want to hold a public hearing to allow those that have had their name added to the list to provide proof otherwise? Any comments from the board?
Is that the only reason for a public hearing?
No,
So-
to be clear, at a public hearing, Vanessa's lawyer, Dennis, will be responsible for not just stating his objections to the various to the various signatures, but also to provide you with proof, so that if he's saying, for example, one of the allegations is that the signature is not genuine. His merely asserting that it's not genuine isn't really evidence. But if he comes before you and has evidence that a signature is not genuine, then that's the time that you will hear it, and you will be able to consider it. At the same time, you will be able to consider other information that you have received. And as Laura has pointed out, the emails are already coming in fast and furious from various people whose signatures have been challenged, and by others. And all of that information will be available to you to consider as part of your evaluation of whatever evidence Mr. Newman provides. I don't know whether the petitioners intend to be represented at the hearing either by a lawyer or by a spokesperson for the group. But if they choose to do that, that person would then, of course, be given an opportunity to present whatever evidence that person has. And then at the end of all of that, you will have before you evidence from the office holder, from Vanessa's lawyer. You will have evidence that has been submitted directly by various members of the public, and you will have evidence possibly from the petitioners group. And you will take all of that into consideration in making your decision.
Wow. Let me understand. This is Harry. Now, let me understand. Now, a whole bunch of people are looking into these ifs and not of signatures. We on the board won't have any chance to do that until the hearing.
You will begin to consider it at the hearing, yes.
So before the hearing, we cannot go through the challenges and look up and see if these signatures are real or not. That's left to Laura alone.
As the town clerk, I represent the Board of Registrars. When I go through and do the verification, you as a member of the board are welcome to come in and work with me to do so. But it has to be done via the state computer, so therefore you would have to come into town hall and while I'm doing that. You certainly have a right to do so. But we cannot have any kind of a discussion about that until the hearing itself.
Okay.
The information that I do find will be submitted to you in the form of a packet prior to the hearing.
Okay.
Anyone else as any other meeting.
Okay, so you're going to send us out your findings of that ahead of time by email.
Right, but that you will not receive that until after the hearing date has been set.
Yeah. See, that's late. I mean, we're relying on you doing all the work.
Well, but you said that we can be part of that research.
Yes.
You have the right to, yes. As
Okay.
a member of
So
the
we-
board, you have a right to, yes.
Okay.
Laura, this is Chris. I mean, I'm just confused because it seems like when I saw the list of names, it just seems like such a waste of time, and I think that's what this is. But, I mean, I certainly would be willing to come down and go through that whole list again, the ones that he questioned, because many of those myself, I know those people, and I know they signed. And I know they're registered voters. I can swear by it. So
Right.
that's what I don't know what to, to expedite this the most quick way, because this is just, well, I don't know. I just think the whole thing is a waste of time and money, and it's just, maybe that's what they want. I don't know.
Well,
Okay, so,
Well, you're talking about recalling a person. This is an important issue.
right.
Sweeney, you're
the important
recalling. Oh,
thing
you're
here-
recalling a person, but these voters have already been. They have been verified.
Well, according
I don't know.
according to the
let me
Well, then let's get together. Then let's the three of us get together and go down and verify every single one of those names that he questioned.
So let me just explain to you what the process is, because I know that, some of you have been around a while, and the process of verifying signatures is a little bit different than it was when you first started. But so what happens is, just kind of run through the whole process from the beginning. And this was done both for the affidavit and for the petition. I go into the state system and I create I don't want to use the word fake, but it's a fake election, so to speak. And I set the election date as the date that the petition and or affidavit was filed. At that,
Right.
we then go
Okay.
into that election date and we certify the signatures that are on that petition. So the first one that was done for the affidavit was in February. In the system, there is an election date that says February 20th, 2020. And every single one of them, when we certify the signatures, what we're directed to do by the elections division from the state is to certify and verify that that signature is a registered voter within Reading at the time
Right.
it was signed. And
Right.
that voter, it does not matter if the voter is inactive, and we don't necessarily verify a signature unless there's a question about the signature itself. We are not signature experts. So that list that's on the February 20th election date that's in the system, it will not allow any duplicates, and it will not allow anyone that's not registered to be a part of that list. So that's
That
how.
makes sense.
So the process that we'll do here is I will go through and I will double check and verify that that name is actually on the list and that they're actually a registered voter.
Right.
And do that one at a time. That's, for each one of us to go through, that's up to you. But we're going to basically be putting out the same list that we put in originally. So,
Well, let me bring this question up, because I was around when we did this long and tediously going through, and things that we looked for was a changed name. Now, I understand initials are okay, but if you have a different first name than what the registered voter is registered at, that's invalid.
Well, that's not
And
true.
I have seen, and we have seen in one case where the handwriting on the whole face of one petition was all the same handwriting. Jesus. Now, they probably had the right names, but that, in my opinion, if I can see that and really have a judgment from other people that that was all done by the same person, that invalidates that whole petition. You understand what I'm saying?
So it doesn't.
I certainly do, and that would. But
on.
I saw
Hold
some
on.
of these petitions.
Stop. Okay. That doesn't necessarily validate the entire petition. It does invalidate those signatures, and those are not counted.
Yes.
You go through and
Right.
look at them, we don't count them. But it's
Right,
also
right.
not true anymore that if they, so it used to be years ago that you had to sign a petition as you were registered to vote. That is not true anymore. It
I
is
understand that.
the intent of the voter. Okay?
Right. I understand. You can sign a nickname. You could sign leave out an initial. You can do that as long as the intent is there. I understand that.
So,
Harry, do you understand that there are people that have called in, and if you saw it on Facebook at all, that they said, we signed that petition, I was there, I saw it with my own eyes, I did it, and this whole thing. I mean, there are names, 4 names on there particularly that I personally verified.
can I,
I'm going to hold on. I'm going to interrupt again. We don't want to
Okay.
get into that discussion right now.
yeah,
What we want to
Okay,
get into,
all right.
do we want to hold a public hearing, and do you want to be involved when I go through and double check those that are being questioned? That's what we're going to discuss.
Laura, if I could
that's
comment
what-
here.
Yep, go ahead.
So there's some questions that going through the state directory can answer. They can answer whether a person is a registered voter. For example, would be an example of something that they can answer. What they're less able to do is to verify that a particular signature is genuine, and that's the bulk of the objections that we have here go to the genuineness of the signature, and that's why that's the purpose of having a hearing. Certainly, the step that Laura is suggesting be done to go back and to verify that the signatories are indeed registered voters. That's a fine step, but it's only going to take you so far. And as Harry, as you mentioned, in order to make a judgment about the validity of the signature, you have to look at it. And if they're saying that it's not genuine, they need to be able to say to you why. How do they know it's not genuine? And they provide that information to you at the hearing, and you will hear. You may, for some of them, have contrary information from the signatory himself or herself, or you may have contrary evidence from the petitioners group, and that's the sort of thing that you would do at the hearing.
I understand. The thing is, what I was going to say, how many petitioners are there? How close are we? The validity, in my experience, the validity of a signature, there may be some bad ones, but it's usually a low percentage. I mean, if we're close on this petition number for recall, but if then it might be worthwhile. But if it's a wide margin, it seems like a lot of waste. Now,
So,
what is the margin?
Laura, you can comment. How many signatures were certified?
2,300. Hang on a second. I'll give you the exact number. 2,239.
2,239. And the requisite number is
2,000 was needed.
exactly
Well, so
2,000.
we're 300. Okay, well, that's pretty close.
239.
230
Yeah,
extras, yes.
Okay.
yeah.
And
Well, you know, it's,
the
that's,
objections that have been filed are about 900.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but a lot of those I think are not valid. Anyways, okay. Oh boy. Oh boy.
But we can't go into the process
Yeah.
saying how many are valid or how many are not valid. That's the point of
No,
what
no,
we're
I
doing.
understand, but we know what the margin is.
Right.
It's around 300, less than 300. So
Yes.
it's a little over 10%. Yeah. Well, okay. Okay. That's information.
So can I just go back to just so that I'm clear, the lists that you're working off of, Laura, are going to be the same exact lists that you worked off for the, when you certified the first time, right?
Correct.
Okay. So there's like some kind of spreadsheet and you're just going down that list. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
So the only thing that may be different from the list that I worked on the first time is that the voter registration list changes daily.
Yeah.
When the list that we currently have may have somebody that registered to vote after the petition was submitted. Those signatures will not count. You had to be
Right.
registered to vote at the time that the affidavit in the petition was submitted. That makes
That's
sense.
only logical.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Do we need to vote whether we would like to be part of the process, in helping to certify? Or can we just say, yes, I'm interested in helping to certify?
So
Not certified. I don't think that's the right term.
it's actually going to be verify the certification, I guess, is the way of terminology we should use.
Okay.
So you as a board have voted in the past to allow me to deal with the certification of signatures for nomination papers and petitions, et cetera. So you don't have to vote. It's up to you individually as a board member if you would like to join and be there as I do the verification. The problem, just so you're aware, we're now in a situation where town hall is closed.
Yep.
And if you choose to be a part of that process, that means that process can't happen until we reopen and are back open to the public. Be able to be.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I would like to be part of that process.
Okay.
Who's speaking?
Nancy.
Okay.
And Chris too,
Yeah.
if I have to be. Yeah. I mean, I'll do it because I want to stand up for the people whose signatures I saw that I got.
Okay. So in that case,
Okay.
what I do is that.
I saw them put it down in person. I was there when they did it.
Okay. So.
Okay, so Chris,
Yeah.
you're addressing a different issue, which is the signature genuine? The
Yeah.
process that Laura is talking about now is verifying that the information that she got the first time through from the state is indeed accurate. So that's not going to tell you
Okay.
whether the person actually So that doesn't work. But there may be a way of calling some assistance to you for the verification process. We just would need to work out the logistics with the Board of Health and the town manager.
Okay. We just have to keep
Okay.
in mind, the state system is one computer.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep that in mind, but yeah, that's fine. Okay, so
But you certainly don't have to vote to say we want to participate.
right,
It's an individual choice of people who want to participate, and only one of you can participate at a time with Laura.
okay, but
We'll have to arrange that.
so at this point, first thing we need to do is the board needs to make a decision and vote as to whether or not they want to hold a public hearing.
Wow.
I guess we have to, according to our lawyer.
Well,
I'm not telling you that you have to. I'm telling you that it is my recommendation that you do so.
Right, but I mean, it seems more logical. Who wants to have a trial over this? It's ridiculous.
Indeed.
So we'll hold a public hearing.
we're the only,
And we'll get all the signatures down. They'll get the people that signed the petition down there.
we're the only
I know we could do it.
were the only objections raised by the lawyer about signatures? Were those the only objections?
So let me just kind of run through real quick what the objections were. And this was part of the select board packet. So there were several different objections. One is that some of the signatures were duplicates.
Right.
Another is that some of the signatures were non-registered voters. Another one was that some of the signatures were incorrect addresses. Another one was that some of the signatures were not a signature. Some of them were ineligible to be able to determine. And another one is that they were non-genuine signatures.
Not in the correction there. They were illegible, not ineligible.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's mine.
Right.
Yeah, illegible, right, yeah.
There you go.
Well, those sound like valid claims.
Well, if they can be proven, obviously.
Right.
So I'm going to ask that you take a vote of whether or not you would like to hold a public hearing. And we're going to do this as a roll call vote. Are you ready to vote?
Yes,
Yes.
Yep.
So Nancy,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Chris.
yes,
Okay, so we are going to be holding a public hearing. The date of that, I'm assuming Ray, I'm assuming we have to wait until all this is over before we can hold the public hearing, or can we do it via Zoom as we are now?
No, it's got to be an open hearing.
Jane is very talented, but I am concerned about the logistics of attempting to talk about specific signatures in a hearing that is held on Zoom. So you would have to be able to put the signature up on the screen one at a time. You'd have to, if there is a voter registration card, you might have to put that up next to it. I mean, I'm not attempting to limit the imagination of those who are raising objections and those who want to defend it. But at least that much you would likely want to be able to do. So it's pretty complicated. I should also mention that the select board is going to be asked to adopt a policy on the conduct of hearings. Which ones should go forward during the state of emergency and which ones should be deferred. I don't know what that policy is going to look like, but it will be a policy that the select board will attempt to apply, will ask to apply to all hearings held by boards that are appointed by the select board, which includes yours. So it is my understanding that they're going to take that issue up at their next meeting, and it might make sense, therefore, to defer action on scheduling a hearing until we see what that policy looks like. In general, I think the select board, the request from staff is going to be to minimize the number of hearings that are held via remote means, so as to only those that are deemed to be the most important. And this one clearly is different from every other kind of a hearing that various boards undertake. And so to the extent that you have an opinion about whether you want to expedite this hearing or you want to delay it until after the emergency or you want to do something in between, it would probably not be a bad idea to communicate your preference to the select board, either collectively or individually. That's up to you.
Yeah.
You mean the board or the general public in this,
No, I'm right now just advising the board. If the board has a collective view about whether it wants to move ahead with this hearing, expeditiously, or whether it would prefer to wait until after the emergency goes, now's the time to express that view and to communicate it to the select board. You don't want to find yourself in the situation, for example, that you say we want to expedite this hearing, and then the board issues a policy that suggests that you shouldn't be doing that, or conversely, that you think that you ought to wait until after the emergency, and the board adopts a policy that suggests that you should move ahead. So if you have a view, and if you don't, that's all right too, but if you have a view about whether you would prefer to expedite this hearing or move more slowly, now would be a good time to figure out what that opinion is and so that it can be communicated to the select board.
Good info.
That we not rush forward with this, but that we really take into consideration the concerns that we're all facing right now with the pandemic, and the fact that Reading is in a state of emergency, the state is in a state of emergency. So I think that this condition should be strongly considered when setting dates and moving forward with this.
Is this Chrissy?
No, it's Nancy.
Yes, I agree. Harry agrees.
I think we lost Chris.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Well, my opinion is, we're covered. We have management. We have a group. So I wouldn't want to put us in danger. And I think this is a very important issue. But I think we should wait until this pandemic passes a bit. Harry.
So, Ray, are you familiar with when the select board is going to be voting on that policy?
He's coming back in the meeting right now.
Thank you, Jane.
Okay, so the answer to your question is I do not know for sure. My guess is that it will be at the select board's next meeting, but I actually don't know when the select board's next meeting is.
Yeah, they're having a meeting tonight, right? Wednesday. They probably go for another Wednesday. But
I think, aren't they meeting, were they meeting weekly now or?
Meeting every Wednesday night through the
right.
pandemic. And once we're out of that, they're going back to normal.
Okay, I don't think it's on the agenda though for tonight.
I don't believe it is.
Right.
So when I said the next meeting, I guess I'm thinking maybe next week.
Okay. Jane, did
Hopefully.
Well, that, because I think the April 14th agenda, isn't that already out there? I think that is already out there. But I might be wrong.
Chrissy, are you back? Can you hear us?
Yes, I think I am. I don't know what happened.
Yep, I don't either. I don't know if some people have left and come back a couple of times, but you're on and you are unmuted.
Okay, I'm listening. Because, I have the iPad in front of me, but it looks like someone's calling in or something, or to call. And 1 minute I see your face and then I don't. But I'm hearing you all right now. But for some reason, I didn't do anything. I'm just sitting here listening and I got cut off. I don't know what happened.
Well, I just sorry to interrupt your meeting. I aligned your iPad and your audio together. So if you
okay, now I see you. I see you now.
Yeah. So if you
click
on your face and we can see you. Right now we see like your light.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. There I am.
There you are.
There I am. Okay.
Do we have to set the date of the hearing today?
No.
Okay. So we have voted that we're going to hold the public hearing. I'm going to work with each of you individually at this point to go through the signatures and verify what we can. And I will talk with the select board and or the town manager to determine what we're going to do as far as the public hearing, and then we'll set a date. How's that?
That sounds good. So
Sounds right.
we'd meet again, correct? To set the date?
That's correct.
Yes. We can do it via email if as long as we're careful about open meeting law. We can set a date, but that's all we can do.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead and set the date, and I'll just put it on my calendar. Right now, with the way things are, I don't think many of us have too many dates planned ahead.
Right.
So I'm looking at some of the questions that are coming in through chat. There's one I just wanted to make sure I verified. I will get back to all of these questions, but the one I did want to bring up is that the question of can an elected official being recalled within 6 months of the end of the term? According to our charter, no. The recall election has to happen within 6 months of, yeah.
There's one other question. There's one other question in the chat that I'd like to respond to because it asks, why is the burden of proof on the petitioners rather than on the individuals that are contesting the signatures? And the answer is it's not. The burden of proof in this case are the people who raise the objections. So,
right.
The petitions are presumed to be valid unless there is proof to the contrary.
Correct.
Right. Check. Okay.
Was there anything?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing on the agenda then is, we've already talked about the next steps. We just need to approve the minutes from the last meeting that we had in February. I sent those to you via email. Is there any comments or changes that you would like on those minutes?
That was the stamp rule we did?
Correct.
I have no objections to that.
I have no objections.
Chris?
Neither do I. No,
Okay.
no objections.
All right, I'm going to do another roll call vote to accept the minutes from February 18th. Chris?
Okay, I approve. Say yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
And Harry?
Except,
Excellent. So minutes accepted as submitted. All right, so is there any other questions or comments from the board?
we're getting an email, right?
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Ray, is there anything else that I forgot? Or any
No, you
questions?
did an excellent job, Laura.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to have a motion to adjourn at 3:25.
I so move.
Everybody,
Second.
I'm in favor.
all right, we adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. And
Thank you.
I will get back to all the questions that are in the
Oh,
chat.
I'm sorry it took so long to get me in. Very sorry for the
Questions that have come
In the chat, well, we're gonna end the meeting, but I'm going to go through and basically make a document of them. And then
Okay.
I'll have all of that, and then we'll see what we can do on the back end of this call afterward, after everybody leaves.
Okay,
Right.
and then you'll send those to us.
Yes, yep, yeah, we want to capture everything.
Good.
Oh,
That's great.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
okay.
I'm not
So
gonna,
Okay,
I will work with Jane and Ray to answer those questions, and then we can make them public once we get them answered correctly.
Okay.
Okay.
that's great. All right. Thank you, Laura, for all your hard work.
Sarah. Thank you, Jane.
Stay healthy.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Jane,
all of
for
them.
moderating an awesome meeting.
that was hard.
Okay.
Everybody did a great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
All right,
everyone.
you all have a
Bye-bye.
good day, and please stay safe.
Thank you. You too. Ray.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Laura, if you can
You
just
too.
stay on for a minute, I'm gonna stop recording since the meeting is